Well, good afternoon. This is Pastor Jennings here again from the Gazebo Talk. I have with us Miss Bernadine Miller. She's going to give us some information on the bow and arrow in her life, and I just thank God to have her here today with us. And I'm glad you joined in to listen and to hear some of the history that we have to offer. And I'm going to turn it over a few minutes to Bernadine, and we're going to have a good conversation. God bless you. Well, hello, Bernadine. Can you introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Bernadine Miller, but most people around here know me as Bernadine Abraham.
Okay, all right. Bernadine, how long have you lived in Baldwin, Michigan?
As I recall, my mom and dad moved us here back in 1972.
1972?
Yes.
You moved from, where did you move from?
From Detroit,
Born
Michigan.
in Baldwin. You was not born in Baldwin?
No. I
Wow.
wasn't born here in Baldwin or Reed City or Ludington or Big Rapids. We came from Detroit, Michigan.
Okay.
We were raised up, when I was born, my mom and dad had a house in Detroit on Livernois off of Puritan.
Okay.
And Petoskey. We didn't get here until after my dad retired from Chrysler.
Okay.
So after he retired from Chrysler, we moved here. He bought the gas station on the corner of Broadway and US 10.
There was a gas station there. He owned a gas station.
He owned a gas station.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, when you said on the corner of US 10, where's that gas station now? It was a gas station there?
The gas station was removed, the body of it, and the tanks were pulled up, and my
Wow.
sister Siobhan now owns the property.
What was the name of the gas station?
I don't quite remember the name of the gas station, but I do remember he had, it was a filler station, because you know that's what they call gas stations,
Yes.
filler stations.
Yes.
And he was a mechanic, and he had a garage attached to it. So, you know, of course, he worked on cars, and he had, you know, pop and candy and chips and stuff for kids.
Okay.
And, you know, stuff like that.
Did you work in it, or were you there sometimes?
No, I was just a baby. I know this because this is what I was told.
Okay,
so
all right.
I don't even remember ever going there, not once.
Okay.
But when we were coming up after my father passed, my mother became a member of the Elks Club.
Okay.
And some of the ladies from the Elks Club used to give little kid parties there.
Yes.
So that's where we used to have all of our Halloween parties,
Wow.
and Easter parties, and Easter egg hunts, and all of that sort of stuff. So.
And so this was when you were young. You said you were like, what, 2 and 3 and 4 and something like that?
Yeah, my dad passed away. I was 4.
Okay.
Wasn't 5 yet. So he passed away in 75.
Okay.
So shortly after they built the house, you know, my dad and some friends of his from Detroit, they actually built this house.
Okay.
And for us to move into. So when we got here, we had a home.
So this was built from the ground up?
Yep, it was built from the ground up. My dad and some of his friends from Detroit, Michigan.
How many siblings did you have? Or was it all girls, or?
No, there's 9 of us.
Wow.
I'm sorry, there's 12 of us. I'm number 9.
Really?
Yeah. There's 12 of us. I'm number 9. We have 3 brothers, and I have 8 sisters.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
It's 10 of us. You know, it's 10 of us, and like I said, it was 10, and we had the older brother passed. The eldest passed about a year and so ago. But
sorry to hear that.
Well, thank you. But we came from Chicago. Now, you came from Detroit. I came from Chicago in '85 when the Bears won the Super Bowl, because I know it was that day. Now, when I came up here from Chicago, I remember when all the girls in the school, it seemed like they was, a Chicago man up here. And they were excited, and they thought I could house dance, but I couldn't. And I would fool the school for a long time until the junior year. I think that's when somebody pulled me out on the dance floor, and I actually embarrassed myself.
But of course, probably me, because I was one of the best dancers there.
I don't know who it was, but I still don't like that person that pulled me out, because you embarrassed me. But I learned how to dance later. But Bernadine, when I did come up here, I did notice that the culture difference. I went to all black school in Chicago, and when I came up here, I saw whites and blacks together. What did you know at that time? When did you experience that? I mean, I know you went to school up here, correct?
Yes.
The little school also. What school did you go up here?
Yeah.
What was the school called? Because it wasn't Yates at first, it was it?
Well, I went to daycare,
Okay.
of course. And at the time we were in daycare, we had this lady named Miss Rainey that, took care of most of the kids and stuff. That was on Broadway, where the historical museum is now.
That was the daycare.
That was the daycare.
Okay. And that was like in the 70s.
Yep, that
Okay.
was early 70s.
Okay.
And then after that, we went up to Springtime, which was the elementary preschool.
Springtime.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, on Springtime. That was Nelson School.
Okay.
And then from Nelson School, when we got into middle school, it was Yates.
Did they just build
Yates
that at
School.
that time? So was that freshly built, or that was always there? You just moved up to it?
We just moved up to it. It was
Okay.
already there.
Okay, Yates Middle School.
Yeah.
And I didn't know anything about that because I didn't go to Yates.
Yeah.
When I came from Chicago, I went right to the 9th grade.
Right. You were
Okay.
already in high school.
Okay.
And then from Yates Middle School, then, we went over to the high school. But elementary was where, up at the high school, but now that same high school hallway is the junior high hallway. Now that's middle school.
Okay.
Yeah.
A big difference, yeah.
Yep. So we went from, it was just elementary in that building upstairs, up the ramp. And then high school in the high school corridors. And then you went up out to middle school for middle school.
Okay.
And then you go back to the high school for high school.
Okay.
So that's how it was back then.
Tell me, did you have any racial problems as far as, because you grew up, it was whites and blacks also in Yates, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So you grew up in a different atmosphere where it seemed like whites and blacks got along. Can you explain that? And did you see a shock when you came up, like Detroit? Was it, I know you was a baby, but at the same time, did
Yeah.
you see a difference? Or explain.
Well, for me growing up here at in elementary, we were past that time of segregation, hard segregation. I won't say segregation, but
Okay.
hard segregation and tough
Okay.
segregation, like some of our my older sisters and them were. We didn't have to experience that. When my dad brought us here, he brought us here because he wanted us to be in a safe place. He wanted us to be in a diverse place. He wanted us to be somewhere where we could, get to know other people and get to know other race and other colors and other values and other cultures.
Okay.
So that was, I believe that was the whole reason why he wanted to come up here and start a life,
Okay.
for his family. So when we got here, we were kind of like out of that angry
Era. Yep,
era.
okay.
So
right.
we didn't know anything but playing with kids of different colors.
Okay. All right.
We all played together. We all, even though we looked different, we were all the same
All the same.
to us
Okay.
during that time.
And that carried on basically through the high
Right.
school, because that's when I came up here, and it seemed like, interracial couples,
Right. Right.
blacks and whites,
Yep.
Having babies together, and you
babies
noticed
together.
that too.
Yes.
And it wasn't a difference with you.
No,
Okay.
it wasn't a difference because it was something that we were accustomed to because we were taught that at an earlier age. Right when we got here, we were taught that.
Okay.
People are people. You love one another. We're all God's creation.
Amen.
We were taught that. So those were the values that we grew up on. And not only that, we had other influencers.
Okay.
We had teachers and stuff that
Yeah.
were, not African American. We had other staff that weren't African American.
Okay.
We had, but we were treated as equal. We didn't have the bad vibe.
Did you
We
have
didn't
any
get treated bad?
any black teachers in Yates too? There were black teachers in Yates.
Yes,
Okay.
we did.
About how many would you say?
At that time, my principal, I believe our principal was black.
Was it Nichols?
Mrs. Blue.
Oh,
Nellie
Mrs. Blue, Nellie Blue.
Was one of
Yes.
our principals.
Okay.
And even before that, in elementary, it was Mr. Chase.
Mr. Chase, he was
Mr.
actually
Chase,
a principal.
He was a principal.
Before he was a superintendent.
Yes, he wrote me up. Well, I got wrote up so many times, and he told my mom I had about 100 write-ups.
You had a lot of
By the
write-ups.
time I was, 5th grade, I had a lot of write-ups, and I got a lot of butt whooping.
Okay.
But yeah,
Wow.
so we had a black principal, and then we had Mrs. Nichols was my principal when
Hmm.
I was in high school. So we had, then even in preschool, we had, people that were African American, but then we also had white teachers also.
Okay.
In all those schools. We had Mr. Harmon in middle school,
Well,
and I
who is he
also
now?
had
He was a
Mr.
teacher?
Harmon. Yes, he was
Okay.
a teacher at Yates when I
Okay.
was in middle school. We had there was so many different. Arnelda Clark taught at
Okay,
the
I heard
school.
about her. Okay.
Mrs. Nichols, Mr. Nichols.
Mr. Nichols, he was a teacher at that time, or what was?
No, I believe he was a principal, but I think he was a principal for high school. When
Okay.
I was younger, he was a principal for high school, but Mrs. Nichols was a principal for us when we were in high school.
Ah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I mean, we had a lot of influencers, and we would have like 3-day sessions of watching Roots
Ah, really?
as an entire school.
In Yates.
As an entire school, all the way from the time we were in like elementary, middle school, and high school.
So they tried to
It
basically
was like
educate the
right.
kids
They
on that.
educated us, and it was something that we would do as a tradition at a certain time of year. We did it
Wow.
every single year,
And you remember that?
and I
That's,
remember that.
Now-
I
now-
couldn't wait for it actually because I didn't have to do classwork. I could just sit in there and really watch these movies,
and it was Roots.
and it was Roots.
I do remember something like that. Now, what about the discipline? Did you get a ruler spanking in school? Did they use rulers back then? In Chicago, I remember being in grammar school, which I would call it middle school. Our teacher had a ruler, and some one of them had blackjack, and we would have to hit ourselves, or they would hit us. And nobody said anything about it. Parents didn't say anything. I don't know if their mama said she didn't know later on in life, but they did everybody that way, and it wasn't a problem. Was that up here discipline that the school teachers
I
do it?
remember Mrs. Bromley. She was a Caucasian teacher when I was up at Nelson School, when I was in like the first grade, I believe. She tapped me once, because I had a bad mouth, a kind of, yeah, a bad mouth. So she kind of popped me, popped me
Okay.
on my hand. And that was all it took for me to know that
Wow.
that was wrong.
So they
and I
did,
can't
but
do
they
that.
did institute that. You seen? Did they
Yes.
do other students like that too? Like
Yeah.
okay.
We got little
So
pops
you
and
did
little,
have little pop
those
with a ruler,
spankings.
with a
I didn't
switch?
get hit with. I never got hit by a teacher with any an item, and I can't even say that I ever remember any of the kids up here during my era getting hit with an item, because it just didn't take that.
Okay.
Our teaching came from home. We knew better, and if we slipped up, then yeah, we got popped.
Wow.
But never with like a ruler or an item or anything like that.
Now, did you get rolled by a bus to school? Did you take a school bus?
We took the school bus.
And there were yellow buses back then.
That's right.
Ah,
Yep.
Because right now they're blue
Yellow
buses, but it was
with
yellow back
Baldwin
when we were in
Community
school.
School on it.
Okay, all right. Now, Bernadine, in those ages. Now let's go to the 9th grade area. So that would have been what, 14, 15, 16. What did you have for fun around here? Now, I used to hear of a skating ring, because I think I came up in '85. I don't think it was here or functioning that much.
No, not
Johnny's
yet.
or anything. What would you say? What was for the young people to do?
I'm gonna go back
Okay, go ahead.
because I believe by the time I became a freshman, I believe that I don't remember having that we had like the arcade on 7th Street.
I remember the
Brown.
arcade. I do remember one. Brown, was that Brown or
Brother
was something?
Brown.
Okay.
That
All
was
right.
Mr. Brown.
On 7th Street.
Yep, he was on 7th Street. He was still open. Let's see, the skating ring, lot owners was already closed, shut down.
What about that skating ring that was across from Government Lake?
Seamars,
Seamars, that's what it's called.
on the hill before you get to Government Lake.
Okay.
Now that's where that started, and that during that time.
All right.
And I believe it started before that time, but then yeah, it winded up going into that time. And there we could skate, and then after skating was a dance
Okay, in the same building or?
in the same building.
And what was it called?
the same
Seamars.
floor, Seamars.
I don't remember that. I do remember going in that building one time
Yep.
when I lived in Weber.
Yep. it was-
Wow.
yep.
So that was around, you're talking about it had to be around the 80s.
80s.
All right.
Yep.
Gotcha.
That was in the 80s.
Seamars, okay. And a lot of owners had closed down, but it was a skating
Yep.
ring there.
Yes.
All right.
Yep. We
And
went to lot owners when we were a lot younger. We were like to the age where we were at the age where we had to actually have somebody escort us to the skating rink. So we would leave here walking sometimes in the summertime.